Welcome to the deep dive. Ever wonder what really makes a business degree stand out today? I mean, the landscape's changing so fast.
It really is.
So today, we're taking a close look, a real deep dive, into the Bachelor of Science in Business and Management Economics at UC Merced.
Ah, UC Merced. Yeah, that's a fascinating choice. It's the newest UC campus, opened its doors back in 2005.
Right, relatively young.
Very. But its growth has been, well, pretty phenomenal. Already a top 100 research university, and I think it's still the fastest growing public university in the U.S.
Wow. And you see that modernity, right? Like even aerial shots show a really contemporary campus design. It looks forward-thinking.
It absolutely does. And that vibe, that sort of dynamic energy, it filters down into the learning environment itself.
How so?
Well, you get the state-of-the-art facilities, the innovative programs you'd expect from a new UC campus, but also something else.
Okay.
Smaller classes. More of that close-knit feel you might associate with, say, a liberal arts college, but it's all under the prestigious UC banner.
So kind of the best of both worlds, potentially. Access and intimacy.
That's a good way to put it. And what's really striking, I think, is how they've structured the business curriculum itself. It's not the traditional model.
Oh, different how?
And instead of having, separate silos for economics, management, finance, accounting, marketing, they've deliberately woven them together.
Integrated.
Exactly. Integrated into one curriculum. Think of it like less separate instruments, more like a whole orchestra playing together.
Which honestly sounds a lot more like how actual business problems work, doesn't it?
Precisely. Real-world challenges rarely fit neatly into one box. They're messy, interconnected.
Yeah, you need to pull ideas from finance and marketing and maybe even economics to solve something complex.
Right. So this integrated approach, it trains you to see those connections, to develop a more holistic viewpoint.
Okay, that makes sense. And I imagine that kind of training opens up quite a few doors career-wise.
Definitely. The emphasis is quite strong on analytical and quantitative skills. So graduates are well prepared for roles like financial analyst, marketing manager, accountant, data analyst.
The core business functions.
The core functions, yes. But there's also a real undercurrent of innovation and entrepreneurship in the program's DNA. Adapting to, well, today's pretty volatile business world is key.
And you mentioned the smaller campus feel earlier. Does that play out in terms of access to faculty and maybe research?
It certainly seems to. More direct interaction with professors is a common theme. And interestingly, UC Merced actually topped the entire UC system for undergraduate research participation back in 2019.
Really? For undergrads?
For undergrads, yeah. And that culture, that encouragement to get involved in research, it extends to the business and economics students too. It's not just for the traditional sciences.
That's a significant advantage, potentially. Okay, so we have this integrated curriculum, focus on analytics, research opportunities. What else defines the experience there?
Well, there's also a campus-wide kind of ethos around sustainability and community engagement.
Okay.
Which gives business students practical chances to apply what they're learning to, real local challenges, sort of a living lab environment.
And looking forward, there's something big on the horizon too, right? The Gallo School.
Yes, right. The planned Ernest and Julio Gallo School of Management. It's a major initiative set to bring together business, management, economics, and related fields.
So consolidating and maybe expanding that interdisciplinary focus.
Exactly. Positioning the program to really connect not just traditional business areas, but also fields like data science, maybe even cognitive science, understanding the why behind economic decisions.
Very forward-looking. Okay, so for you listening, the big question we're exploring is, does this program at UC Merced offer a genuinely fresh, maybe even distinctive path with solid career prospects, all happening within this dynamic, growing UC setting?
That's the core of it. Let's maybe dig into the specifics now, what you'd actually be learning day to day.
Perfect. Let's break down that curriculum. It sounds like it's designed for both breadth and focus. How does it start? First couple of years.
Right. The first 2 years are really about laying the groundwork, building a solid foundation.
In what areas specifically?
Mostly in math, writing, and the basics of economics and business. So, for instance, you'll definitely take Calculus A, that's math, 0-11.
Calculus. Okay, so a quantitative start.
A very quantitative start. And it's not just math for math's sake. It's about building those essential quantitative reasoning skills you'll need for, well, almost everything in modern business analysis. Forecasting, market analysis, you name it.
Makes sense. What else is foundational?
You'll have Introductory Economics, Econ 001. This covers both microeconomics, how markets and individuals behave, and macroeconomics, the bigger picture
The
forces, the
essentials.
absolute essentials. And crucially, college writing, WORI 010. Because being able to analyze is one thing, but you have to communicate your findings effectively, right?
Absolutely critical in business, reports, presentations.
Exactly. And then there's usually an introductory business course too, like Econ 005, Introduction to Business and Finance.
Kind of an overview.
Yeah, think of it as a broad survey, getting the lay of the land before you dive deeper into specific areas, like getting the map before the trek.
So the whole point of these prerequisites, these first 2 years, is really just tooling up, getting the essential kit.
That's a great way to put it. Ensuring you have the analytical tools and the communication skills to really succeed in the tougher upper division courses later on.
Because that calculus and, I guess, statistics, which probably comes soon after,
Right, stats is key too.
they form the basis for any serious data analysis or modeling you'll do later.
Precisely. And that's strong writing ability. It's non-negotiable for reports, presentations, making a case for your ideas professionally.
I also saw mention of a potential computer applications course, CSE 005.
Yeah, that often fits in here. It really highlights the program's recognition that modern business pros need to be comfortable with technology.
Not just the concepts, but the actual software, data tools.
Exactly. Being fluent in the tools of the trade, which increasingly means software for data analysis, business intelligence, and so on, it's about tech literacy alongside business literacy.
Okay, so foundation built,
Yeah.
then you move into the core of the major.
Then you get into the heart of it, yes. The core courses. This is where you build that deeper expertise in the key disciplines we talk about: economics, finance, accounting, marketing.
So stepping up the intensity from the introductory courses.
Definitely. You'll take intermediate microeconomics and intermediate macroeconomics. That's Econ 100 and 101.
Going beyond the basics.
Much deeper. Really understanding the mechanics of how markets function, how the broader economy works, and importantly, how that impacts business decisions and strategy. It's more sophisticated modeling and analysis.
And no business degree is complete without accounting, I assume?
Absolutely not. You'll cover financial accounting, typically Econ 006A and 006B, and often there's an option or requirement for managerial accounting as well.
What's the focus there? Beyond just bookkeeping.
Oh, way beyond. It's about learning how to record, yes, but more importantly, how to organize and critically analyze an organization's financial information, understanding the story the numbers are telling.
Got it. What about finance specifically?
That comes in with corporate finance, Econ 105. This gets into the nitty-gritty of how firms make those crucial investment decisions, where to put their money for growth, and also how they raise the capital they need.
So funding the business and making smart bets?
Essentially, yes. Understanding the financial engine of the company.
Okay, and the customer side. Marketing.
Yep, that's covered in Marketing and Consumer Behavior, Econ 108. This explores market dynamics, what drives customer choices, the whole interface between the business and its market.
Seems comprehensive. And you mentioned the quantitative focus earlier. Does that continue strongly in the core?
Very strongly. This is a BS, a Bachelor of Science, remember? So you have required courses in statistics, Econ 010, and then econometrics, Econ 110.
Econometrics. Okay, that sounds serious.
It is. It's about applying statistical methods specifically to economic data. So you're learning practical skills for analyzing real-world data, testing hypotheses, making statistical inferences, even forecasting, using data to find answers.
So a lot of hands-on data work.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The real value here across all these core courses isn't just learning theory. It's about equipping you with analytical frameworks.
Yeah.
And crucially, problem-solving skills you can actually use across different business functions.
Building models, interpreting data.
Right. Building quantitative models for complex operations or markets, and then using those models to support better, more informed decision-making. That's a key skill they emphasize.
So it's less about memorizing definitions.
Much less.
And more about learning to think critically, to apply economic principles, math, strategy to actually solve problems.
You've got it.
Yeah.
It's about developing that analytical, problem-solving mindset that employers are really looking for. How to approach a messy business challenge and figure it out using the tools you've learned.